Let's get into our Cowboys mailbag. A super thanks first up here from Noah Turner. Says the Cowboys would be the team to wait till next offseason and not pay Lamb and then just tag him. God forbid this deal is done as soon as possible. It needs to be done. The leaves have fallen. There's not much left to wait for unless you do something stupid and somehow Ja'Marr Chase gets paid first, which would probably be a bad thing for you, actually. Like, just get it done. I feel like they're haggling over like the guaranteed money. Come on, he's going to be here for 3 years. Just give him the big fat guaranteed contract. It will be fine. He's too important to your offense once the games actually matter for him not to be here. You let Zach Martin hold out till mid-August. Please don't do the exact same thing with Lamb. It's just dumb. Another super thanks from Noah Turner says, you think Tahj Brooks out of Texas Tech could be an option in next year's draft class? I think he could be. I think there are concerns. Despite his really good production, I thought he might go pro last year, by the way, as a result. I think there is some concerns about his overall athletic juice and speed. He's a big boy. He's powerful. Teams do still crave athletic, explosive plays in the backfield. He was really low on Dane Brugler's list. I thought too low, but might be an indication that maybe the NFL is not as high on him as I am. These came in via super thanks. It is a feature on YouTube. It's no different than a super chat. It's the on-demand version, not the live version. You can edit your message, send in whatever you want, and as long as you're not doing an ism, we'll give you a shout-out here on the Cowboys Report. David Lopez, Dak Prescott, quote, I don't play for the money, never have, never cared for it, to be honest with you. Yeah, look, could be the highest paid QB. Bruh. When Dak said that, I think everyone went, okay. I still wonder if that was an attempt at, there's been two different answers here. You had the, I don't play for the money, and also Dak saying, hey, and I got to make sure I do right by the brotherhood, and next guy up gets paid the most, which isn't, I don't think either of those things have to be true. I wonder if that was a bit of, positioning, publicly negotiating of, I'm not just going to take the biggest offer out there, but I do need to get paid what I'm worth. And if that's how you frame it, which could very well be a stretch, and Dak just might have been trying to fill airtime and said something stupid, very possible, I think that starts to make some more sense. Someone told me the quarterback market was broken. It's honestly not, though. Like, how much percent of the blame do we give or put on the QB? It's a lot of it. And relative to the salary cap, it's not that figure. Also, the percentages of what they're getting paid relative to the salary cap haven't really changed that much. Like, you could give Dak like $60 million plus, and it's like a 1 or 2% raise. That's it. It's just the sticker shock, which I totally understand. So would you make Dak the highest paid NFL QB? My mindset has been for a while, if you're going to make a QB a top 5 highest paid QB or whatever, at that point you're kind of in for a penny, in for a pound, right? It's a bit of a sunk cost fallacy maybe, but it's too important to try to screw around over what amounts to a couple $1 million if you think he's the guy. So would you do it? Y for yes, N for no at the pinned comment. Noah Turner, do you think the tush push should be banned? I don't want it banned, actually. It is a football play. Quite frankly, it is the closest thing to original real football that exists. The founding fathers of football would watch a real NFL game and be horrified until they saw the tush push and went, oh, that's that. What do you mean you're throwing the ball in the air forward? This is the work of the devil. Like, the football has changed drastically. I'm fine keeping the tush push. I don't think it's going to be as impactful with Jason Kelce gone. Also, stop it. That is your job as a defense. Stop it. I have no problems keeping it. From CeeDee Lamb, which is fun ease there. If Bland, Diggs, or Lewis get hurt this season and Gilmore's free agent, do you sign him? Yes, I do. Now, kind of want to try Kalen Carson, but I think having that veteran presence and option would be a really shrewd decision there. So, yeah, I would probably sign Gilmore if he's still available. And maybe that's what he wants. He's waiting to find a spot where he's going to get the playing time, the money, and everything else that goes along with it. And and kind of sets himself up for more short-term, long-term financial success. Today's show is made possible by Game Time. Game Time is an authorized ticket place or marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. And prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. You never know. It might be a game which you got to go see where there is a no-hitter that was also rain delayed or weather delayed and ended up being like $10 a pop. It was awesome. You get up to 60% off buying last-minute tickets for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, etc. Flash deals, you save more with exclusive in-app deals on certain seats ahead of the game or the event. You can get a panoramic view from your seat on the app before you buy. And the Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. They will credit you 110% of the difference in your ticket if you find tickets in the same section and row for less. Download the Game Time app, create your account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, but again, create your account, redeem code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today for last-minute tickets, the lowest price, all guaranteed. From Daniel, can we all go protest at the Ford Center so we can pressure the Jones boys to sign Lamb and Prescott? Try. I once told Stephen Jones to his face, don't forget to pay Dak Prescott, and then he forgot for a year and a half. So what are you going to do? From Stephen Goltz, in the early days, Jerry would make deals left and right and sign people to contracts before the deadline. Now, for the last decade, he hasn't pulled the trigger on anything. What happened? Stephen Jones has more power and more control and more influence. Stephen's the one that doesn't like spending money. Wildcat and Jerry, I think he still exists somewhere. But I think Jerry saw what happened to Al Davis. This is just my personal theory. Where at the end, Al didn't have it anymore, and there's a lot of chaos in that organization. The transition plan, the succession plan was awkward. I don't think Jerry wanted that. He's ceded power to Stephen, and Stephen doesn't want to spend money. Brian Perry, will the Cowboys sign ADT? Well, they did technically sign Albert Huggins. Does that move the needle for you? Probably not. So I would say around roster cutdown time, keep your eye out for an addition or two. From Timmy Jonas, is this the long-lost Jonas brother, Chris? Is there? There's not a Tim, right? It's Joe and whatever. Or off the rails. What's the plan if CeeDee pulls an Emmitt Smith and skips games? I'm gonna cry. I'll be mad. That's like that. That is the seventh circle of hell nightmare scenario, or whatever the proper terminology, fifth circle, whatever it is. Don't want that. Don't want that at all. That's bad. That kind of gets into the is this relationship fixable stage. I don't want to do an Emmitt Smith again. That's not a good scenario. In the end, I don't think Lamb skips because that's a lot of game checks to miss out on, and I'd be surprised if that happened. So prediction time. Good job building this on the fly, Chris. Will Lamb skip any games? 1 for yes, 0 for no. I'm going to type in my 0 because I'm going to speak it into existence, but you guys can sound off. Daniel, what could be a trade the Cowboys make if they get off to a hot start this year towards the trade deadline? Until they address it, I'm going to look at defensive tackle and running back as the main areas of concern. Now, I don't think James Conner is going to be available, but that'd be a really good, short-term rental back to pick up. Maybe there's a defensive tackle that becomes available, but I would be searching that market, or if there's an injury to replace somebody. Object Pawar, is JJ setting up Dak to fail by not signing CD? Also, how should McCarthy's play calling be if Lamb doesn't sign? Dak should deal nonetheless. Well, I'm not going to give more touches to the running game. I'd probably try to get I'd probably scheme for Turpin more because he's got some athletic juice, frankly. I think they're just being dumb. Just pay him. A week from now, I hope we're live. Breaking news: Lamb signed. Thank goodness. From Dragon Rider, Game of Thrones fan, I assume. Trade idea: Eric Scott for John Ridgeway. I am down. But I think to an extent, I'm not sure how much interest there is in Eric Scott. I also think that John Ridgeway has kind of been put up on a pedestal, so to speak, of like the one that got away and he's being romanticized. He might get cut by the Commanders. Now, Eric Scott might get cut by you, which makes it maybe feasible there. I'm down. I also don't think we should. I also don't think we should remember Ridgeway as more than what he actually was and has been. I want you guys to put your Cowboys trade ideas in the comments section. Drop them for me in the comments of today's show. From CeeDee Lamb, if you were the GM, who would you trade for a good running back? Or would you trade for a good running back? Depends on good. But I'd be trying. Jets, Dolphins, Panthers, who's going to get cut, who's going to get traded. Like, I got all these extra day 3 picks. I'll flip one next year for a running back that gives me a little bit more juice. Can I get Khalil Herbert? Is Israel Abanikanda not going to be a bust? You know, who are the Dolphins not going to keep? Like, I would explore the running back market because I don't think you have enough right now at your spot. Zeno saying, saw a stat that compares Prescott and Lamar's playoff success. Both are very similar. No one will criticize Jackson because Prescott is QB for the Cowboys. Look, I'll hold off on the whole rant here, but you're not wrong. Lamar has been, frankly, worse in the postseason than Dak has been. Now, he's got 2 MVPs. We can argue maybe if shouldn't have been his last year, but that's beside the point. My main issue with this stat is they always put like a certain number of games on there. Like, oh, yeah, you've had to have played so many games. And normally it's like 4 or 5 or 6. And you know what ends up happening? That by putting on that filter, it becomes, well, of like the 15 qualifying quarterbacks, Dak and Lamar are 11th and 12th or whatever of the last, since 2016. And you know that the 10 guys who are ahead of them, it's like one magical run guy like that one Matt Ryan season, or Hall of Famers. You know, and everyone else below them, also Pro Bowlers. You know why? Because the other quarterbacks don't get in the conversation because they don't have enough games to play. Like, it automatically pulls out guys like Herbert and Deshaun and Kyler Murray, who actually had really bad playoff performances because they didn't qualify. So it's not like, oh, bottom 5 playoff QB. Well, yes, out of like 15. Instead of being, well, he's a top 15 QB out of like the 75 that actually count. That's always been my issue. It's a framing, filtering problem. If you guys want more Cowboys updates, news, rumors, everything else in between, good news, you've come to the right spot. Hit that sub button so you don't miss out. Eli Aaron, I think we need to rebuild at this point. Be okay with it. I don't like where we're at, and at this time, it's a point where you're clueless of what your problem is with this team. You have to make a decision. You either go be aggressive with your current core, which I think, look, you've won 12 games 3 years in a row. You can totally justify adding more pieces and being aggressive. You've also had 3 straight years of playoff heartbreak. You can totally justify rebuilding a little bit. You have to pick one. You sit on the fence long enough, bad things are going to happen. Or worse, the rest of the league, your own players, your own coaching staff, they're going to decide that you're going to rebuild without them, and now you're in a bad spot. There's nothing preventing Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott from going, you know what? We don't want to deal with this. They can make it to the NFC Championship game this upcoming year, and they can say, nope, we don't want to deal with it. Bye. Now, I don't know if it's going to happen if it does happen, or if that scenario unfolds. But there's nothing stopping you because you didn't make a decision when you had the control and the power. CeeDee Lamb, last question. What do you do with Dak if we don't make the playoffs this year? Well, how does it all play out? Like, honestly, you should have you should have already made up your mind. Like, is this a scenario where, like, Dak threw 35 TDs, 12 interceptions, but they averaged 3.5 yards per carry, and the defense was dog shit? Well, how is that the quarterback's fault? That's the organization's fault for setting this up for failure, right? The last time a head coach and a QB both entered the final year of their contracts was this team in 2019. They don't learn from their mistakes.